Hi, Vu. It's great to be working with you. The first task that we're going to start working on next is an interior design sheet. This sheet that I'm going to send you uh, is off another house. And what we're going to do is take some of these designs from this other house and modify them um, for the current house that we're working on. So, for example, we're going to take this kitchen where there's cabinets and a stove and a range hood and some shelves. We're going to take this and adjust it for the size and adjust it for the kitchen that's in the house that we're working on. So the first part of this is when I send you this sheet, I need you to go into the title bar over here and change the address and just basically change everything on the main sheet to match what is on the main set of house plans, because it is two separate files and we've tended to keep the interior design files separate. So just go along and update most of this through here. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to look at this kitchen here, and I want to explain the kitchen. The kitchen, like you saw in the detail, there's no upper cabinets. It's only lower cabinets. There's a pantry on the right. We don't need to show the pantry. Um, and then if you look over here on this side of the sheet, it gives you all the measurements. So if you get here's the measurements right here. So you can see there's 30.5 inches opening for the stove. So it gives you the measurement all the way across to the cabinets. And then there's a stack cabinet. Now this is looking at I'm looking kind of the other side because the measurements on the other side of the wall. These measurements really need to be moved over to this side of the wall. But there's a stack cabinet over here with the microwave and oven and so forth. So we don't need to draw that out. We just need to maybe put the 30 inches on there and just leave a blank space. So when I say blank space, you can see here, here is where the range hood would go. So here it says cabinets by others. And then you just, there would be the line here for where the oven stack is. And you could do I think it was 30 inches. Yeah, it's 30 inches. So you can just do, 30 inches right here and just say oven, microwave, cabinets by others right there. Then all this is going to stay the same, except we need to widen this out or at least adjust the width. So this is 8 foot 5 inches. So there's 8 foot 5 inches. And I go over here and you can see the different measurements, however much that measures out to. And then click on the sheet here. And then to right here along this edge, you can remove this LED light strip and you can remove this dotted line. And then make a notation kind of along in here, kind of, I guess you can run it vertically. It doesn't need to be running left or right, I guess. You can run it vertically and just say pantry on this side. That way we know pantry's over here. We don't need to draw it all out. And then we know that the cabinets are over here, excuse me. The other thing too is this house had a vaulted ceiling. So we can just remove this whole vaulted ceiling. This shows the 9 foot 1, so the ceiling height is correct. And then once you widen this out, we need to then recenter the shelves because it's kind of centered where it's the same gap on each side. So once you widen this out, the shelves need to be recentered, and then we need a given measurement. I'm realizing on these drawings that there's not a measurement from, say, where the pantry is to the edge of the shelf. So if we can draw into what that measurement is, um, so that we know how far off the wall to put that at. So I think this looks good. And then also too, if we can put about probably about 4 inches up, maybe 5 inches up, put a small line across here, and then um, and then put an arrow that points up underneath there, and put LED toe kick. So that's LED and then TOE and then KICK. So the toe kick is the board when your toes kick the board at the bottom of the cabinet. Because we're going to run, there's usually a little recess underneath the cabinets. The doors are a little bit raised, and we're going to run an LED light strip underneath that. So I just like to point to that and say that there is an LED light strip under there, just like the floating shells with LED lights. So say toe kick with LED, that would work. So just toe kick with LED light, and then not plural, don't put the S. And just put that down here and point to that. And I think that'll cover that detail. Then for this detail, I'm not sure the measurements on this, but let's go ahead and double check the measurements. I'll let you figure it out. So that fits with the upstairs master bath. So I'm going to go over here. So we got 3 foot 4 inches. So adjust this to be 3 foot 4 inches. Yeah, I think basically what it is this is 3 foot 4 right here. But when I add this up, I'm coming up with 3 foot 3 inches. So this just needs to be widened out. So I think the key thing is right here, instead of 7.5 inches, this would say 8 inches, and that would say 8 inches. And I don't think you really need to widen it out. Just change the numbers, and that'll work there. And then instead of saying 12 by 12 tile, put 24 by 12. So it's 24 by 12 up. So you put 24 by 12 and take the center line out. So these will be just 24-inch tiles running that way, 24 by 12. So just take the center line off that. And I think that'll do that detail. Then we have the wall detail here. Now this was a different wall, but we're going to reuse this for the wall downstairs in the living room. I'll pause, and sometimes when I'm talking, I'll reach over and hit the pause button. So sometimes when you watch the video, it'll probably jump around when I do that. So I want to hit the pause button and find my spot. So here's where the wall detail is going to go. I'm not really sure how to do the measurements here. I guess you can see the plan guy's got 3 foot 4 inches to there, and then the center line of the TV is 4 feet over. So that kind of gives you that. So what we need to do is adjust this. We're going to leave the flower bed for now a little bit, but the flower bed is going to narrow up. It's not going to be so wide. So looking here, the flower bed would come off the stairs, so 4 foot, and go over. So it'd be like, let's say 8 feet. So let's do that. Let's make sure that this currently is showing 10 feet. So we're going to have 8 feet of flower bed. And then what we need to do is remove the window and make the stairwell, right? And then, so there's going to be a stairwell here, and then the flower bed will start and go over 8 feet. And then the TVs and everything will be centered up. So and use pretty much these same measurements here. You can kind of work on it, and then we can adjust it later. But as long as you kind of get a start on it and you understand, we're not going to deal with 10 feet at this point. We're going to take this, and then I'm trying to be clear. Sorry if I'm being kind of vague. So when we start here at this left line where it says left of the 4 inches, the stone. So we're taking this to there, basically taking the center of the TVs. I want to take the center of the TVs at the 4 foot mark, so you know where the center of the TVs are going to land, right? And this overhang, how it overhangs here, looks good. We're just going to be this is a little short for now, so this needs to go out a little bit and be a little bit wider so that the center line of the TVs are here, and then it'll have, say, this is 2 foot and this is about halfway. So let's say this is roughly 12 inches right here. Then what we need is we need the stone here to also go 12 inches. So we have 4 foot to the center, and then hopefully we can go about 12 inches over. And then if not, we can pull it back to 8 inches or something like that. So I think it needs to be you know, about about 12 inches from what I'm seeing here. So if we have um, the 2 foot, 3 foot, that's 5 foot total, and then we're going to go another foot, so we're at 6 feet. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. 2 foot, 3 foot, and then another foot. That gives us a total of 6. So the stone will be a little bit larger. So we're going to take 6 feet, and we're going to center it up right here on the 4 foot line. So at that point, we would have about a foot left of just regular wall. And that foot left of regular wall is where the flower bed would end, and then the stairwell with a step. Okay, so stairwell with a step, and then this is going to go a little bit wider over here, and this was the end of the wall. So we'll have this, and then there would be you can do the cut through line, because we don't need to draw it all the way across this door and everything here. So we can have like that that line that shows the ending. So let me find that and point to it. So here's a wall section detail. So this is what I'm saying. Over on the right hand side, we can do like this. We can do that squiggly line that says, hey, here's the detail, but we're cutting it off. So on the detail, when we hit about a foot past, once we go about about a foot past this, put a squiggly line on it to show that it ends, and then also too, increase the size of these TVs to 65-inch TVs. So right now they were 55-inch because on this house we couldn't fit bigger TVs almost and still have the design. So put 65-inch TVs on here and resize those, and let's see how they fit as well. So I think that explains that detail there. Let me pause and I'll go to the next detail. Okay, I've got it right here. Okay, so the next detail is going to be, and it says bedroom 2 wall at bed. So what this is this is a diagram of how we're going to build the furniture in the house. And what we're going to do is build a platform for the bed, and then the mattress sits on top, and then there'll be tile on the wall as a headboard, and floating floating nightstands on each side. And there'll be pendant light over the nightstands, and then we'll probably do something decorative on the wall as well. The key thing is, I may change that later, but for now, let's just leave it. But what we need to do is take this and make it fit for the upstairs primary bedroom, which is going to be here on this bedroom. So you've got the measurements across of what the bedroom is. You can see there's the pillows and the bed sheet. Here's the bed, 6'4" wide, some spacing. So what we need to do is draw this over more to the jamb, so that I have the perspective of where this is, and then I guess draw it over about the same amount over here. That should work out fine. We don't need to go all the way down the wall, but just so we have the perspective of how much room there is on the wall. Because last time around, this is how much room there was on the wall. It had 4 inches. So um, when you in this particular location, so it didn't have much room on each side. Basically, 24 inches on each side. But on this bedroom, we've got a lot more space. We're talking 3'3", right here, and what is that? Three? That's a 4 foot there. So there's basically 4 foot from the bed to the wall, and this one had 2 feet. So this will go out a little bit wider. And so once you widen that out, then you can pretty much leave the nightstands about where they're at and everything. So, um, and then there wouldn't be a measurement from here over because um, that is the door and everything way over here. So I think better off is to put the measurement from the wall. So we've got the wall right here. So there's a wall for the closets. I think it's better to put the measurement from here to this light and then from there to that light. I think that is probably the best option to do it. Um, and that ought to work. And then the top of the wall here, you can see line of ceiling drop. That is at 8 feet for the line of the ceiling drop, but the ceiling drop in here, this is the line of the ceiling drop going around. And the ceiling drop notation is actually on the wrong side. I'm going to move this over later, but it's an 8'6" drop ceiling. So it's 8'6" here. So we need to update this drawing so that the ceiling line is 8'6". So go ahead and pull that up. And then there's a cove. There was a drop and a cove right here. So all this wording right here needs to be removed. This 8 inches, this 20 inches, that all needs to be removed. The 9'1" can stay. The 6 inches can be removed. And then you just go to the 8'6". Right, we're at 8'6". So just put the 8'6" right here, and then the remaining measurement there. So that will cover this detail adjustment. However, this was originally designed to be on a concrete floor. So therefore, when we go to the ID little cutout, this is actually over here and gives more detail. And we need to adjust how this bed is made because it calls for concrete masonry units, concrete blocks, and that would be on concrete. So we don't want to do concrete because this is on the second story and it's all framed wood. So what we have to do is do some changes here. So the initial change is it says 2x6 here, and what we need to do is remove the 2x4, and then where it's at right here, we need to drop this down. So what I want to do is bring this down lower, and I want to thicken this up. So instead of 6 inches here, it's going to grow to maybe 8 inches, I want to say. Because instead of a 2x4, we're going to go to 2x6. And I want to remind you too, a 2x4 is 1.5 inches by 3.5. So you subtract off a ½ inch on each. And the same thing with the 2x6. The 6 inches is actually 5.5 inches. So the measurement from here to here is 5.5 inches, but it says 2x6. So what we need to do is instead of 2x4, that needs to be changed to 2x6. This actually needs to show the measurement because this shows a measurement. That should actually show a measurement. So we've got the right measurement there. So this bottom part right here needs to be brought down. So this comes down, everything comes down, and that makes this a 2x6. So just change this to say 2x6, change this to the 5.5 inch measurement, and change this to, I think, 8 inches ought to do it. And then where this says 2 by 4, change that to 2 by 6, and of course bring it down to match. And all this drops down. Now there is one mistake in here. This sheet of wood right here, it says 1/4 inch white paneling. Um, that is running all the way underneath, and it should not run all the way underneath. This is under the bed at that point. So this white paneling should only run from here to here and stop. And then this can well, actually it should run from there to there, to the right side. I'll zoom in a little bit more. It should run right here and stop, so it should not run this way. Okay, so and this should actually be below the 2 by 6. So once we run the 2 by 6, and this is going to run underneath the 2 by 6. So if we can, we've got the blocking there, and you drop it all down. I think everything else here is fine, except for we got to still work on the bottom down here. So what we're going to do here is remove the 2 by 8 top plate. No, not remove it, excuse me. It's going to be a 2 by 4 top plate. So make this 2 by 4 like this. So it's going to be a 2 by 4 right there underneath the 2 by 6. And then put another 2 by 4 going down, right? But not all the way. And then exit off. And then put a 2 by 4 at the bottom for the 2 by 4 base plate. So 2 by 4 top plate, and then a 2 by 4 base plate, and then put a 2 by 4 in between, and put the X in it. So we'll have the base plate, the little short stud, and then a top plate. And also too, instead of just saying floor line, I'd like to let's just go ahead and leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. I don't need to show the floor underneath and everything. It's going on in the second story. So I think that covers that detail right there. If you have any questions, let me know. But that will change all that to be wood, and then this will get a little bit bigger and hang a little bit further down, and it'll be a little bit simpler and easier detail to read. Then once we have this all correct, these measurements are for a king size bed. So we'll need to change it later for another bed if it's queen size, because queen size are different size. And it also needs to say king bed frame. So if we can put king at the front of this, because we will have another detail later for queen. Okay, so I think that covers that. Then for this detail, let's you can see this was a shower to the right, and there was a vanity and a toilet. We need to make 2 of these, so we need to make 2 of these, and what we're going to do first is we want to make let's make one for this wall right here. So we're just basically doing the shower. Let me get over to where the measurements are. So we're basically doing the shower wall right across here, and the vanity, and then across the back right here. And I want to show where the lights hang, and where the vanity is, and how it floats, and then the shower right here. So let me jump over to the detail and describe that a little bit. So what we're going to do is remove this rock bed, and remove the fact that this is below the ground. Don't delete all this too much yet, but excuse me, but you're going to make this basically a straight line across right here for the whole floor, okay? And then this shower curb needs to go above. So basically we're going to have the floor, and then the curb's going to be up higher above the floor. There's nothing going to be sunk into the floor. This is if it's in concrete. So remove that, take the curb, move it up. And of course the measurements here need to match the measurements over here. So we have 36 inches, and then it says 3.5 inches for the curb, right? So 3 foot and then 3.5. So this is correct right here. So 3 foot over, and then it says 3.5 on the curb, but it shows 6 inches. But the 6 inches, really what you need to do is just change that to say 6.5, because I want to show you here. See how the shower glass is on the edge of the shower? That's correct. And then here's the side of the vanity, and this matches that right here. So when we go over here, you'll see if I zoom in close, it's showing 3.5 for the curb, which is what we frame it at. Which, by the way, I didn't mention that. Whenever we draw these plans, we always draw them for what the frame is. We don't draw them for once it has drywall on it and things of that nature. So we're drawing the plans for the framer who's going to frame the house out of wood on the wood sections. And the measurements need to be for what the wood is, because the framer is the one who actually reads these measurements. So what we're going to do is we're going to frame that at 3.5. But once it gets tile on each side and a cap and things like that, it comes out to be 6 inches. But we're going to throw the framer, the 3.5, and then there's a 3-inch gap between where the shower glass is and where the vanity is. And actually, when you look at this, this has got the shower glass in the middle. So we probably do need to adjust that. And take this shower glass and move it over just a little bit, but not centered, but just move it over a little bit, because it's going to be centered. It's going to be a little bit centered, but not totally centered. So just move the glass over a little bit, and then it will have the gap for the vanity right here. So you've got the vanity. I missed the height of the vanity, so it's got the width of the vanity and all this. Stick it there, and I realize this now. I'll get you the measurement for what the height of that vanity is. I'll just have to go measure the vanity that I installed to make sure the exact measurement that it was set at on the height. And of course, remove the toilet, because the toilet is not on that section of the wall. It's over in a different toilet closet over here. So if you can get that to be the right measurements, as I said, put the toilet off here, and then put the measurement at this point. It's just going to, a lot of these measurements on the bottom here are going to add together. So it'd be just like a measurement from here all the way over to where the door is over here. So it'd be inside wall here. And realize there's 3.5 to the outside. So on the detail, just take off 3.5 inches. So that'd be what? 2 foot 11. So from here to the inside is 2 foot 11. That measurement's to the outside. So we just need to adjust. So we'd have basically, 2 foot 11 from there to there. So that's off there. Remove the tile pattern that's on here, because we'll do a totally different tile pattern. You can go ahead and remove that tile pattern. And then the ceiling as well. I'm not sure. And remove this LED light strip on the reflective ceiling. Remove that. Remove this extra line that's in here for the LED light strip, and make sure that we get the height. Of the ceiling at this point. We want to confirm the ceiling height, which I think is 8 foot. Before I say it, let me make sure. I want to say the wrong thing. We're over here. So over here is the 8 foot ceiling. 8'6" ceiling. And then over the bed is higher, but that's not in this detail. So it's 8'6", right? 8'6" over, and then the ceiling here is 8'1". So what we're going to do is come over, and it would basically be what 36 plus the 6. So this ceiling here would drop down, and then would come over um, basically 3'6" would be the drop down, right? Okay, so it's actually going to drop down. And then that'll get us in the ballpark for this detail. And then later, once I have the tiles picked out for sure, I'll give you, which I have most of it already, but I'll give you the tile pattern later to put in here as well. Um, Now the other thing we need to do is take the original detail that you have here now, um, and we also need to make a wall detail for this bathroom. And when you make the wall detail for this bathroom, you're pretty much making the wall detail for this bathroom as well, because they're pretty much close to the same size. So we're just going to make one wall detail here. So you can see you have your wall running across. I'll run over to where the measurements are. Um, so you have your measurements across here. Now the shower's 2'8". You have your toilets, and so you can see here, here's the wall on the other side. The vanity's 3 inches off the wall, then it's 36 inches for the vanity. Center up the toilet. So when we look at this, you can see 36 inches over. Um, it's kind of a mirror, so everything's going to kind of flip. So um, you're going to have the basically a wall here, and then the vanity's 3 inches off the wall. You have your vanity and your toilet centered, and then there's the shower on this side. So this one has the shower on the right, but the shower would be on the left. Um, so that would get um, wrong detail there. That would get the detail done for there. So looking at this sheet, I've pretty much covered all the details on this sheet. So I think that'll cover that. I appreciate everything. You can just work on it this week when you got a chance. If you do it all on Monday, that's great. If it takes you a couple of days, no worries. I'm not in a major rush. But as soon as you get that, I'll send you some more as well.